And I'm saying it's been 5 months.
Yeah, he hasn't
This
proposed
is the problem.
anything.
No, this is the problem.
Don't you think? Wait,
has
hold on.
entire agenda
Vivid,
that he ran on. Yes or no?
Not only has it been 5 months, he had an entire
yes or
Vivid.
No?
He had an entire campaign to give any of these ideas. He didn't do it on the campaign either. And he had a whole fucking previous term to get a border bill, and he hasn't gotten it. So no, it hasn't been 5 months. It's been like fucking 5 years. Which administration removed due process for immigrants by implemented a dedicated docket program? I don't know what the dedicated docket program is. I'm guessing that you're setting up for like an alley-oop about Obama, and somehow conflating that expedited removal means no due process. That's not what it means. If you want to come up and chat, we can. Vivid, how's it going?
Quick to assume on something you don't know, right?
It's true. I mean, hey, I might be wrong.
So the dedicated docket program was launched in May 2021 by the Democratic administration, Biden administration, to help speed up the immigration issue that we have. And I mean, I could care less if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat. It doesn't matter who you are or where your alliance is. I think we can all agree that in America we have a truly broken immigration system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
However, this was a complete failure and took thousands from receiving due process.
So let's stick on that. So what did it specifically do?
It pretty much just automatically flagged them for immediate deportation. They didn't
while they were
in
crossing.
front of a judge, huh?
While they were crossing.
While they were here, even while their
so like they were in the country.
Pending.
They were in the country.
Cases were pending.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure that you have pretty broad authority to get people out like right as soon as they cross, or like I think it's like a month after they cross, because those are just considered turnaways and not really deportations. And that's how like Obama's numbers got super high, is because there was a really, really high amount of turnaways. Or was it something like that?
No. This is for people who's been here for 2 years, 3 years.
Okay.
A year and a month.
Were there any cases about this? Did anybody sue over this?
I couldn't tell you 100% factual if anybody. I do believe, but I could be wrong, that there are some current cases pending against it. I know that there's been a lot of issues raised against it because of the implications that it possesses.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a chance.
I get the program was made to help out, because 10 years to receive citizenship, excuse my language, but that's bullshit.
Yeah, sure, I agree. So it looks like I would probably disagree with this, but it looks like it was just setting people up to be expeditedly removed. That's not a violation of due process rights. Like giving people expedited removal orders isn't a violation of due process rights.
But they had, so their status would be pending. They were not given fair representation, no lawyer. They didn't go in front of a judge.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is even for people who are seeking asylum. And
hold on. There's important questions here. Like, was it that they didn't have, like, lawyers afforded to them, or was it that they didn't have the opportunity to have a lawyer?
They didn't have the opportunity to have a lawyer, go in front of a judge, the whole shebang. Were there some that, got the lawyer, went in front of a judge? Yes. I'm not stating that, it stripped the process from every immigrant.
Oh, I know what this is. This is the thing that was making it so asylees who tried to come over and claim asylum outside of ports of entry would get deported. Yeah, sure. I mean, I disagree with that. I think it's a characteristically different thing than what's happening right now. But yeah, sure, I don't agree with that. I don't think that there should be restrictions on the asylum process that aren't through Congress.
I mean, it's just like we have to. We have to stop as a nation. We have to stop with the not taking accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can bring up things, and that's the greatest thing about, having discourse is that we can bring up things to have a conversation, but we also have to, at the same time, be able to take that accountability. And, so far from, 3 minutes maybe that we've been speaking,
mm-hmm.
You're on a different side of the aisle than I am, but, we seem to agree that, we can take accountability.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I'm not somebody who lives and dies by the party line. I'm willing to admit that on some issues I'm further left than the Democratic Party. On some issues I'm probably more towards the center than the Democratic Party. That's fine. But I think there's also a problem that we run into that Republicans also take like way less accountability. And if we're looking at like the like whoever's more poised to treat immigrants in a respectable manner, it's easily 1,000% the Democrats. What, like, no questions asked, it's the Democrats.
So how are we as a nation going to move forward? How is, Republicans or Democrats going to move forward? I mean,
move forward into what? Like, in what regard?
Better immigration, better policies, better reform.
I mean, hey, Democrats had a bill proposed, got shot down in Congress. Donald Trump said we didn't need new legislation. We needed a new president. So it looks like we're probably not going to move forward, and we're probably just going to do a big authoritarian crackdown on it until we can pass the buck onto the next administration. Because that's the Trump way. Pass the buck onto the next administration.
But see, I think that's... It's been every administration, the Trump administration, the Biden administration, Obama, Clinton, Bill, George.
Biden had a border bill prepared though, right?
Yeah, but
and Kamala Harris,
do we actually?
Kamala Harris committed.
Say enough is enough.
Kamala Harris committed to getting that bill or signing that bill if it went through Congress, right? Donald Trump hasn't proposed anything at all, right?
I mean, he's been in office for 5 months.
He hasn't even co-signed any sort of bill. He hasn't proposed anything that should be in a bill. He explicitly said that, we didn't need new legislation. We needed a new president. He has no plan.
As of right now.
He's explicitly signaled that we don't need a new immigration system. We just need to have tighter enforcement. Have you ever heard like a Republican say like? Have you ever heard a Republican say like we didn't need new laws, we just need our laws to be enforced?
We've heard that from both sides.
Well,
we can agree on that.
Well, we can hear it from both sides, but one side actually did propose new laws, a big border reform bill that would have helped a lot of the problems that a lot of us see, and and then the other side ended up calling Congress people because it had popular support to passing Congress to get that bill shot down.
So anybody can just call up Congress and tell them what to do.
If you're the front runner for the Republican Party and you call a Republican congressman and you say, hey, I'm going to help primary you out if you don't kill this bill, they're going to kill the bill. But the question is if Donald Trump thought that the border was this like big issue, because I'm pretty sure like multiple places have shown that immigration was the biggest issue that resolved this election. Why hasn't he proposed any sort of like comprehensive reform to that system? If it was his number one issue.
I mean, it just hasn't been done yet.
Why not? It was his number one issue.
It's been 5 months.
It was his number one issue. If I'm coming into the presidency saying that we need to reform the border, well, no. Hold on. If I was going into the presidency saying we need massive reform at the border, and Joe Biden's biggest defect was that he did nothing on the border, you would bet that I would have at least had a concept of something that should go in a border bill at the very least. But Donald Trump hasn't said anything like that. He's explicitly said we don't need new legislation. Why are we expecting him to pass new legislation?
I would expect well, at this point, I don't expect a politician to do anything with the border, because
even though the Democratic frontrunners had a bill that they wanted to propose.
No matter what, the border will always be an issue until we, the American people, stand up.
You're giving me platitudes. You're not actually engaging with what I'm saying.
No.
There was one side who had a comprehensive plan on how to fix the border through legislation, and there's one side who says we don't need new legislation. We just needed harsher enforcement.
So he didn't feel it was right.
Who didn't feel what was right?
Trump.
I'm pretty sure he cited explicitly to the congresspeople that he wanted to keep it an election issue. And if you want to say, oh, I don't think this border bill was right, that's fine. Propose a new one. Say any piece of legislative anything that you would want in a border bill, but he hasn't done that.
He may have not done it yet.
But you don't think 5 months in you would have proposed any sort of proposed change that you would maybe want in a border bill? Like that's the bar that I'm setting, is that maybe have something that you could possibly want in a border bill. He hasn't even done that. And instead he's relying on these bullshit emergency powers.
Okay, but he has been working with both borders, north and south, to curtail the issues at the border.
Through emergency powers. You can't just shut the border down. You need to declare a national state of emergency in order to do it.
So, working with both sides to implement more border patrol.
Wait, no. What do you mean working with both sides? Donald Trump hasn't worked with anybody in the Democrats to do border reform.
Canada and Mexico. He just put tariffs on to try and get them to stop flowing fentanyl in. That's not border reform. And to help slow down people crossing the border.
That's not border reform. That's not reform to our immigration system. You literally just said that nothing is going to change on the border until we get comprehensive reform.
But you're saying he's doing nothing for the border.
I'm saying he has no legislation. I'm saying he has no legislation. He has no ideas for what we could do to fix the problem at the border.
And I'm saying it's been 5 months.
Yeah, he hasn't proposed anything.
No, this is the problem.
Don't you think? Wait,
hold on. Entire agenda that he ran on, yes or no?
Not only has it been 5 months, he had an entire He had an entire campaign to give any of these ideas. He didn't do it on the campaign either. And he had a whole fucking previous term to get a border bill, and he hasn't gotten it. So no, it hasn't been 5 months. It's been like fucking 5 years.
You're acting like his entire agenda should be completed in 5 months.
Okay, you're just not engaging. Okay.
I am.
Younger, Gen Z. How's it going, buddy?
Good, buddy. How are you? So I just wanted to address what you said about the tariffs. So Mexico so the reason why the tariffs were put in place was because Mexico sent troops up to our border and
Mm-hmm.
we temporarily paused the tariffs on that because they were helping us lock down our border. So
Mm-hmm.
what you said was just factually incorrect.
Yeah, these are
And what
the problem is that these are band-aid solutions. If you want actual long-term meaningful change at the border, you're not going to do it via invoking emergency powers and declaring bullshit states of national emergency. You're not going to do it via tariffs that are going to completely fuck both of our economies until you basically help do what we want you to do. These aren't actual meaningful solutions to the border. And even if you did think that they were, they're going to get reversed in 4 years until you get an actual border bill passed. Donald Trump has no idea about what he's doing to negotiate any piece of legislation. He has no ideas
Okay.
in regard to any sort of reform.
Then I have a question for you then.
Mm-hmm.
What is the updated numbers from US Border Patrol about current crossings today?
All right, so I don't know if
That
you listened to what I just said. The
no.
reason
I
that there are
listened.
very low crossings at the southern border is because he put in place a bullshit state of national security to block entries into the southern border. Obviously, border crossings are going to fall if you invoke a national emergency to shut down the southern border.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is that he is acting on the border. All we needed was a new administration that is going to enforce our
bullshit
laws.
uses of authoritarian power. This is not a
It's not.
This is not a state of national
It's not.
emergency.
It is.
How?
It literally is. The U.S.
How?
president is allowed to do that because we are experiencing an invasion of a foreign adversary.
Can you tell me what an
That's a
invasion
very
means?
broad term.
What does an invasion mean?
That's a very so basically so like what was happening under the previous administration would be the perfect example
Wow. Okay.
of that.
Self-referential definition. We're being invaded because we were invaded. The definition of an invasion is what happens that I'm describing as an invasion. Usually, an invasion requires some top-down initiative from a centralized body. If a country invades, then that means there's direction from that country.
No. So an invasion can happen without the directive of like a foreign government, for example.
So if Mexico invades the U.S., should we go to war?
I mean, I think we should talk it out first before we just declare war on one of our closest allies.
Okay.
About it. But again,
but that's an
it
option,
wasn't
right?
perpetrated by the government.
If a country
They were
invades another
allowing
country, if a country invades another country, that's justification for war, right?
Well, no, so it wasn't the
No?
government, even though they were allowing the citizens to flow through Mexico and then come up to the U.S. That's why
I
the
need you
tariffs were enacted.
to focus on this question. Is a country invading another country justification for a war?
It's considered an act of war, yes,
Okay.
but usually it is
So
justified to start a war.
Do you think that there can be an act of war that doesn't have top-down directive from the state? Like,
Again,
do you think a country can
anybody.
do you think a country can do an accidental act of war by having citizens? Yeah, like so if a bunch of Mexicans come into the country, do you think Mexico has engaged in an act of war?
Again, it wasn't just Mexicans; it was a lot of Europeans.
Yeah, I know. Engage with the question though. If a bunch of Mexicans come into the country, do you think Mexico has done an act of war?
Again, I'm not saying it was based off of like an order from the government itself.
Right, but it's an invasion. But it's an invasion. So do you think Mexico has done an act of war because they're engaging in an invasion?
Non-foreign government.
Okay, then
from a non-foreign government.
Then who gets punished? Like who is even invading? if it's not another country, who's invading?
The point of the tariffs was the fact that Mexico was allowing all these people to flow through their country and to just come up to the U.S. So we are punishing them for allowing them to act like that. That is the point of the tariffs. And now that their government is sending troops up to the border and helping us secure it, we are temporarily lifting it because they are helping us get our border under control.
So we're punishing
that was the whole point
we are punishing a country for something that doesn't have any top-down directive.
Well, no. They were allowing it to happen and allowing all these people to flow through the country willingly and knowingly, mind you.
And you think
to come up to the U.S. to invade us.
You believe that that's a state of national emergency?
Yes.
Why?
That is.
Why is that a state of national emergency?
Because we had all these people that were unvetted flowing into our country, terrorists and a ton of other people that were not checked.
Did we see a spike in crime?
Yes, we did actually.
Did we?
And it's all through LA, New York,
No, like
all these
nationwide,
sanctuary
nationwide.
cities and states. We did actually see crime go up.
Crime rates by year. Let's look at it.
We actually did see crime go up.
Violent crimes per 100,000 people have been going down.
Give me a second here.
And this is the bar to declare a state of national emergency, by the way.
Yes, because we also had drugs and untracked arms flowing into our country. So there were a lot of reasons to declare the national emergency at our border. Because then it unlocks a ton of things that we can help to secure our border.
Do you feel
like the National Guard, for example?
Do you feel comfortable like giving the president this like wide power to address a non-profit?
It is declared in the U.S. Constitution that the president has the authority to act to defend the U.S.
I understand they have the ability to declare a state of national emergency. Do you think that if he declared a state of national emergency for like 2 guns, that would be a good declaration?
It was a lot more than 2, believe me.
Yeah, I know, but answer the hypothetical, because they would have the theoretical ability to declare a state of national emergency. I know you're not.
I'm not going to answer the hypothetical because we have a real life example.
Republicans love not answering any hypotheticals because they don't know how to logically engage in any sort of conversation.
What are you talking about? We're engaging. You're using a hypothetical
You're not engaging.
Prove your point.
So let me explain why this is a valuable question. Okay, so let's say that 2 guns come into the country. The president does have the authority to declare a state of national emergency because of that, right? But would that be a good thing?
For 2 guns, I mean, it depends on what type of firearms they were. But again, we don't have to use a hypothetical because we were going through a real life example of.
So do you know what point I'm trying to illustrate by asking you that hypothetical?
I don't even know why you're asking a hypothetical because we have a real life example.
Okay, so here's why I'm asking the hypothetical is because just because the president has the technical authority to do something, just because he has the authority to declare a state of national emergency, that doesn't mean that every single thing that a president would theoretically declare a national emergency for is actually a national emergency. Like that, do you believe that there are bad faith invocations of emergency power?
There can be sometimes. It would depend on the situation.
Okay. So what was like what was the bad effect that constituted a state of national emergency other than people coming into the country?
Again, it would be the massive drug trade that was going on and the illegal arms crossing over our border and causing a crisis here on our homeland.
Okay. So what kind of increase were we looking at? Were we looking at like a 1% increase?
Like the fact that Tren de Aragua, a known gang, also now terrorist group. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry for saying that word. I know we're not allowed to say it, but it's okay. But the government, I think it was Ecuador, is now actually like taking action against them because we are. So
declaring a state of national emergency does nothing for that. Like what kind of increase justifies a state of national emergency?
I have a question for you. Do you think we had a problem at our border whenever Trump entered office?
I think Donald Trump has no fucking idea how to fix it though.
Okay, how would you fix it then?
Probably some piece of comprehensive legislation that can't be undone in 4 years.
Okay, what would you put in it?
You could probably do like a certain cap of asylum claims whenever it gets past a certain point of border crossings. probably allocate more judges in order to process asylum claims more quickly. We would probably funding towards border patrol. That'd probably be fine because we have a quicker path to citizenship. So border crossings could be enforced a little more harshly because there's no like giant wait time for people to go through. So some initiative to cut wait times as well to actually incentivize legal immigration. Those kind of things.
All right, so I'm not even gonna. I don't agree with anything of what you said. I think our.
Okay, can you tell me what Trump's border bill is gonna say?
Trump's border bill is gonna say, "Hey, wait wherever the hell you are while we process you and make sure that you're not a terrorist trying to flow into our country, and make sure that your asylum claim is actually what it actually means and says that you're actually being persecuted by a foreign government or whatever the other cases are for asylum. Make sure you're actually experiencing that instead of just letting everybody into the country all willy-nilly."
You understand that we already process asylum claims. That's
I know.
That's something we already do.
Then that would also disprove your point that we need more judges because the system is being effective and it is keeping our country
wait, are you
safe.
seriously saying our process for vetting asylum claims is efficient right now?
I mean, it could be quicker, but I would also
we have
time.
giant fucking wait times right now. Wait times to enter the country are like, aren't they around like 10 years?
Is that
efficient?
Again on your case. It would depend on your case. I mean, would you rather vet someone and make sure that they're actually good for the country and actually like say who they are, like making sure that they say who they are, than just letting them into the country? And by the way,
that's what this process would be. Yes.
By the way, most people who actually go into the country and actually seek asylum don't actually show up for the court dates, which then leads us to actually extraditing them out.
Then deport them. But shutting down access into the southern border and not doing anything to affect the efficiency of our process is not the answer.
Do it the legal way. Don't hop the border.
Do you think Trump should be doing the deportations in a legal way?
He is doing them in a legal way.
Why did he get shot down by SCOTUS twice for them?
I don't know. Probably some like administrative
Probably because they were illegal. Because he was violating the law. That's why.
So I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Did you vote for Kamala Harris?
Absolutely.
What did you like about her border plan? Because she didn't actually really have anything.
She committed to signing the border bill that Donald Trump tried to kill, which all of the proposals that I listed to you were. I'm pretty sure a lot of those were in that border bill. So that's what
I'm talking about. Before Trump got into office, what did you like about her border plan?
She committed to signing the border bill that Donald Trump killed under Biden.
Again, that is not an answer.
That is an answer. There was a bill in Congress under Joe Biden.
Other than the bill. Under the bill, what did you like about her border policy?
That's the border That's the policy. Other than her policy,
have one until she needed
other than her policy, what did you like about her policy? The bill, the bill. That was her policy. That's what I liked.
The bill was introduced at the end of their administration.
In fucking 2022?
That is a problem. That is a problem. You shouldn't wait for something to be good for only you until you bring it forward. That is a problem with our politics.
Joe Biden left office in 2025, right?
Yes.
And Title 42, that was in place until 2023, right?
Again, she should have done something better for the border.
Title 42 was in place until 2023, right?
What is Title 42? Explain
That's
it to
the thing that shut down the border because of national emergency due to COVID. So the border was shut down until 2023.
Continue on.
The border was shut down until the border was shut down until 2023. The bill got proposed the next year.
Yes. Again, what was actually in the bill other than all the funding for U.S. border?
I told you exactly what was in the bill. There
were some other things in the bill.
If there was a certain amount of encounters at the border, they would give the president real legal authority to shut down the border and shut down encounters until encounters got back to a lower level.
Yes, and now we are at the lowest level of border encounters.
Yes, because he declared a state of national emergency. Do you want the country to be perpetually in a state of national emergency?
It worked. It worked.
It didn't.
See, no, it did, because you just proved my point.
Okay.
You agreed with me.
Okay, do you think that it's a stable way to fix the country's border to perpetually have a state of national emergency so we can keep the border shut?
Yes, it is a good temporary fix while we
It's a
actually
temporary
get
fix. Thank you.
something.
So it's not a fix
While
to the
we get
border. It's a
something.
band-aid solution.
Yes, it is a good temporary solution while we
So
actually get
what's
a
Donald
true
Trump's
border bill
long-term
that doesn't
solution?
have a ton
What's
of other
Donald Trump's
funding for other
long-term
departments.
solution?
He is working actually on a bill right now
Yeah.
that actually
All right, what bill?
speaks to...
Where at? Can you show me anywhere? Can you show me anywhere that shows that he wants a new bill?
I'm pretty sure he is working on a bill.
He's not. By the way, he's not.
How do you know that?
Because he hasn't come out and said anything about it. There's never been any word about a border bill.
He doesn't have to.
So you just feel in your
He's the
heart.
president.
You just feel in your heart that there's a border bill coming.
Yes, because I know him. I know him.
Okay.
He is more than likely working on something with the other Republicans in Congress.
You know
that
him.
actually-
Wait, hold on. You know him.
By the way,
you know him. Did he get a border bill passed in his first term?
I think he did actually.
No,
it was
he didn't.
something.
He didn't.
Okay, prove me wrong then. Bring it up.
Bring up what?
Because
The
we
bill
also
that he
had
didn't
record
pass?
low border crossings. We actually did have record low border crossings during his first administration too.
And then
So-
they spiked right at the end,
Yeah.
right?
No. Well, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah, they spiked right at the end, right? And then Joe Biden just rode the trend of Donald Trump's border crossings spiking, right?
No, he didn't, dude. Dude, you are so full
Look
of
at the
shit,
graph.
dude.
Look up
It's
border.
the fact
It's
that
the
you
graph.
are one
Do you
of
remember
those
the
people-
graph when he turned
You
his
are
head
one of those people that just goes,
when he turned,
I don't like Donald Trump because
when
the
he
media
turned his
says I
head,
should like
yeah,
him.
and you just said, in my heart, I feel like Donald Trump is going to fix the problem. Do you remember the chart that
He
he
is.
when
He's
he like
fixing the problem.
Yeah, I know you're just arguing
He's
based off of
fixing
your
the problem.
feelings. I know data's really inconvenient for Trump supporters, but you're just arguing based off of
No,
your
it's
feelings.
not,
You have
dude.
no idea what you're
Okay,
talking about.
Here.
Okay,
Well then,
so do you
since I don't have
remember
enough data with
do you
this,
remember
then
the graph?
Let's talk about the economy.
Do you remember the graph that he turned his head to look at and dodged the bullet, and then it went into that one guy? Do you remember the
Okay.
graph that he was turning his head to look at?
Okay, so
the border
since
crossings
you,
by year. Do you
since
remember
think
that?
I don't have enough data about
Do you
which
remember?
I don't
Wait,
have enough
no.
data.
Do you remember that graph?
on
Do you
this
remember
topic.
the graph that showed border crossings by year?
Yes.
Do you remember what year the border crossings started to spike?
It was at the end of his
At the end of
first
2020, right?
Yes, at the end of it, because again, the world was going to hell.
Uh-huh.
Again, anyway, since you think I don't have data when I'm arguing, let's talk about the economy.
Wait, let's look at
Do you like the current state of the economy?
Absolutely not. But before we do,
Okay, well, shit, your retirement account is doing pretty well, I guarantee you, because the market is up again. It has been every single morning except for at the beginning of the tariffs.
yeah, except for Liberation Day,
Because of
where it crashed.
Because
Let's see. So 2022 they spiked, okay, and then in 2023 they crashed down and then went back up towards September and then crashed back down again.
what are you talking about in terms of what?
Border crossings. So it seems like Joe Biden was doing something to actually bring crossings back down.
Well,
right?
no, Joe Biden didn't do anything about the border. He just kept on letting all these illegal immigrants into our country and housing them, giving them food and all this other shit.
That's just
instead of
your,
taking care.
I assume that's just your feeling, right?
No. It is literal. Okay, no. That is what actually happened in our country.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that you are so blinded. Okay, so, dude, it's like arguing against a brick wall. So
Yeah,
do
whatever.
you-
I don't know how often you bring these arguments to a brick wall, but I mean, if someone's arguing to me that like there's a unicorn in the other room and you just have to trust me, bro, then like yeah, I'm not going to be very open to those kind of arguments.
Well, anyway, it was in. So he did actually have a border bill. It was in the big beautiful bill.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for the comments, whoever posted that.
Yeah, thank you for
But-
bailing him out. LOL. What was in the big beautiful bill about the border?
Honestly, I'm too busy running a multi-million-dollar company to actually.
Okay, buddy. All right, thanks. Biden let them in. I got video of them with a forklift. I'm sure like Joe Biden is driving the forklift and like putting it over the wall and bringing the people up on the forklift. He was also going to the economy to pivot from immigration. Yeah, I know. Trust, I know. What do you do for work? Your mom.
Yo, Rinyald, how you doing, bro?
How's it going, Revolution?
And let's take a moment to cherish that moment where he said he really feels deep down inside a bill's gonna pop up. Yo, how many times did these right wingers talk about facts over feelings? It started with like Ben Shapiro, facts over feelings, and Charlie Kirk, and all these idiots that are just like, we only care about the facts, but liberals are just so emotional. And this dude's coming over here like, I know Trump. Deep down in my heart, there's gonna be a bill. Holy moly, man! I appreciate you, bro. Anyways, I hope more
Thanks,
of them
buddy.
come up, man. That was
try.
amazing.
We'll try.
All right, peace out.
Yep, love you. Argue with me on the economy. Listen, if you want to come up, if you want to come up, sure. But I mean, it's probably not going to be a super in-depth conversation. Like I said, I don't really super care about it. But what did Biden do to stop illegal immigration? Well, he had a bill in Congress that he was trying to do to completely reform the immigration and asylum system. He had the CBP One app, which gave people the ability to seek asylum and schedule their appointment. I'm pretty sure he limited the one thing to where you could only seek asylum at official ports of entry, and that you would be immediately turned away if you tried to seek asylum at anywhere aside from a port of entry. The Lake and Riley Act does not have anything to do with the border. It has to do with detaining illegal immigrants. That deals with the border? No, it doesn't. It doesn't reform any of the border processes at all.